6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of his expanded cargo ship, watching Nexus Station grow smaller in the distance. The new Dawn was twice as big now, with Koran technology that made it faster and more efficient. Zara came up behind him and put her arms around his waist. Her pregnancy was starting to show. The doctors said it was a miracle, the first human Koran child ever conceived. "Are you happy?" she asked, resting her head against his shoulder. Jake smiled and covered her hands with his. Through their mental bond, he could feel her contentment and love. "Very happy," he said. The past 6 months had changed everything. After Vex was arrested and convicted of murdering his brother, Zara inherited not just her husband's mining rights, but additional compensation from the Koran government. The mining operation turned out to be incredibly valuable, but the real treasure was their family. Kira ran onto the observation deck, her silver eyes bright with excitement. She was learning to speak both English and Koran perfectly. "Jake, come see what Ren built with the construction blocks." Jake laughed. "I'll be right there, sweetheart." The little girl grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the recreation area. Jake marveled at how natural it felt to be her father. The bonding with Zara had somehow extended to her children, creating a family connection he had never expected. In the recreation area, 5-year-old Ren had built an impressive space station out of colored blocks. The boy was shy but brilliant, and Jake was teaching him about starship engineering. "Look, Papa Jake," Ren said proudly. "It has docking bays like Nexus Station, but bigger." "That's amazing, buddy," Jake said, kneeling down to examine the construction. "Maybe someday you'll design real stations like this." Roy walked in carrying a data pad. Jake's business partner had adapted well to their unusual family situation. "Jake, we've got 3 new shipping contracts, all because of our Koran connections." "Good ones?" Jake asked. "Very good. Seems like everyone wants to do business with the first human Koran family in the galaxy." Jake nodded. Their unique situation had opened doors he never imagined. Humans and Korans were working together more than ever before, and Jake's family had become a symbol of what was possible. Dr. Martinez visited them regularly to monitor Zara's pregnancy and Jake's continued adaptation to the bonding. The telepathic connection had grown stronger over time, but Jake had also developed new abilities that surprised everyone. He could sense the emotions of other species now, not just Korans. This made him an excellent negotiator and trader. He could tell when someone was lying or when they were genuinely interested in making a deal. Lisa Chun, the diplomatic officer, had asked Jake to speak at interspecies conferences about human-alien cooperation. Jake was not comfortable with public speaking, but Zara encouraged him to share their story. "People need to see that different species can work together," she had told him. "Our children will grow up in a galaxy where this is normal. We are helping make that happen." Jake walked to his small office and activated the communication system. A familiar face appeared on the screen. Elder Korvik from Nexus Station. "Jake Miller," the elder said, smiling. "How are you, my friend?" It had taken months, but Elder Korvik had come to respect Jake and even consider him family. The successful bonding in Jake's victory over Vex had earned him a place in Koran society that no human had ever held before. "We're doing well, Elder," Jake replied. "Zara is healthy, and the children are happy." "Excellent. I call with good news. The Koran Council has voted to make you an honorary clan leader. This has never been done for a non-Koran before." Jake felt surprised and honored. "What does that mean?" "It means you can represent Koran interests in human space. You can help negotiate treaties and trade agreements. Your unique perspective is valuable to both our peoples." After the communication ended, Jake sat quietly in his office. A year ago, he had been just a cargo pilot trying to make enough money to keep his ship running. Now he was the head of an interspecies family, a successful trader, and apparently a diplomatic representative. All because he had decided to help two scared children. Zara came into the office, moving carefully because of her pregnancy. "The baby is very active today," she said, placing Jake's hand on her belly. Jake felt the small movements under his palm. Through their bond, he could sense the child's developing mind. It was different from both human and Koran thoughts, something entirely new. "Our daughter will be special," Zara said softly. "She will be the bridge between our peoples." "Daughter?" Jake asked. "The doctor said it was too early to tell." Zara smiled mysteriously. "Koran mothers always know. She will have your determination and my telepathic gifts. And she will grow up knowing that love can overcome any difference." That evening, the whole family gathered for dinner in the ship's common area. Roy was there, along with Mira Santos, a Koran woman who had become Zara's closest friend. Captain Danny Foster joined them by video link from his security station. Kira and Ren told stories about their day, mixing English and Koran words in a way that made everyone laugh. Jake looked around the table at his unlikely family and felt a deep sense of contentment. "Jake," Roy said, "remember when you thought this marriage would just be helping out for a few days?" Jake laughed. "I had no idea what I was getting into." "Do you regret it?" Zara asked quietly. Jake took her hand and squeezed gently. Through their bond, she could feel his answer before he spoke it. "Never," he said. "This is the best decision I ever made." Later that night, after the children were asleep, Jake and Zara stood together on the observation deck again. Stars streaked past as the ship traveled through hyperspace toward their next destination. "What do you think our daughter will be like?" Jake asked. "Strong like her father," Zara said. "Kind like her mother. Curious like her brother and sister. She will probably be the first of many human Koran children. Families like ours will become more common." Jake nodded. "The galaxy is changing. We helped change it," Zara replied, "by proving that love is stronger than fear or prejudice." Jake thought about everything that had happened. A desperate alien woman had asked him to marry her to save her children. He had said yes, without understanding what it would mean. Now, 6 months later, he was truly married to someone he loved deeply. He was the father of 2 wonderful children, and soon would have a daughter of his own. He had wealth, respect, and a family that meant everything to him. Most importantly, he had helped create something new in the galaxy, proof that different species could not just coexist, but love each other and build something beautiful together. As they watched the stars fly by, Jake felt his daughter move in Zara's belly. Their child would grow up in a universe where human-alien families were normal. She would never know a time when such love was impossible. "Thank you," Zara whispered. "For what?" Jake asked. "For saving my children. For giving them a father who loves them. For giving me a husband who sees past differences to the person inside." Jake kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for trusting me. For opening your heart to a stranger. For making me part of your family." Through their mental bond, they shared their love and their hopes for the future. Their unlikely marriage had become something neither of them had expected, a deep partnership built on respect, trust, and genuine affection. The new dawn continued its journey through space, carrying its precious cargo of hope toward tomorrow. In the galaxy's vast darkness, their small ship was a bright example of what was possible when beings chose love over fear. Jake Miller had started as a simple cargo pilot who helped a desperate mother. He had become something much more important, a bridge between worlds and a symbol of hope for the future. And this was only the beginning. Jake had 40 minutes to prepare for the fight of his life. His head still hurt from the bonding, but he could feel Zara's presence in his mind. It was strange but comforting. Roy found him in the station's gym, trying to stretch his sore muscles. "How are you feeling?" Roy asked. "Like I got hit by a cargo truck," Jake said. "But also different. I can sense things I couldn't before. When people are lying, when they're afraid, it's weird." "That's the bonding," said Dr. Blackwood, who had followed them to the gym. "You now have limited telepathic abilities. Use them in the fight." Captain Danny Foster arrived with 3 of his security officers. Danny was an old friend from Jake's military days. He was a big man with scars on his face and kind eyes. "Heard you got yourself into trouble again," Danny said, grinning, "just like old times." "This is different, Danny," Jake replied. "I'm not trained for alien combat." "Fighting is fighting," Danny said. "Remember what they taught us in the military. Use your brain, not just your strength. Aliens may be stronger, but humans are clever." A new person entered the gym. She was a human woman in an official uniform. Her name tag said, "Judge Helen Cross, Galactic Court." "Mr. Miller," she said, "I'm here to make sure this combat follows galactic law. Are you sure you want to do this? You can still back out." "No," Jake said. "Those children need protection." "I won't abandon them." Judge Cross nodded. "Very well. The combat will take place in the station's main arena. Traditional Koran weapons. Only, the fight continues until one combatant cannot continue or yields." "What kind of weapons?" Jake asked. "Staffs with weighted ends," the judge replied. "Like your earth weapon called a quarterstaff, but heavier." Danny smiled. "Jake, remember staff training from basic military? You are pretty good at it." Jake tried to remember. It had been many years ago. "I think so." They walked to the arena. It was a large circular room with high walls. Hundreds of aliens sat in the seats around the fighting area. Jake had never seen so many different species in one place. Zara was there with her children. She looked worried, but gave Jake an encouraging smile. Through their mental connection, he felt her confidence in him. Vex stood on the opposite side of the arena. He was bigger than Jake and looked very confident. He held his fighting staff like he had been born with it in his hands. Elder Korvik stepped into the center of the arena. "Citizens of Nexus Station," he announced, "we are here to witness ritual combat between Vex Corathan and Jake Miller. The winner will determine the fate of Zara Velfani and her children." Jake picked up his weapon. It was heavier than he expected. The wooden staff was about 6 feet long with metal weights on both ends. "Begin!" Elder Korvik shouted. Vex attacked. Immediately, he swung his staff in a wide arc, trying to hit Jake's head. Jake ducked just in time. The weapon whistled over his head. Vex was fast and strong. He attacked again and again, forcing Jake to back up around the arena. The crowd cheered every time Vex landed a hit. Jake's new telepathic senses kicked in. He could feel Vex's intentions a split second before he attacked. It was like being able to see the future, but only by a moment. When Vex swung at his legs, Jake jumped. When Vex aimed for his chest, Jake stepped aside. The alien warrior was getting frustrated. "Stand still and fight, coward." Vex growled. Jake smiled. "You sound tired already." This made Vex angry. He attacked with more force, but less control. Jake used his staff to block the heavy blows, but each impact sent pain up his arms. Through his mental link with Zara, Jake could feel her memories of her husband. She showed him how her husband had fought, the way Korans moved in combat. Jake began to understand Vex's fighting style. Korans were strong and aggressive, but they followed predictable patterns. They liked to overpower their enemies with brute force. Humans, Jake realized, were different. Humans adapted and improvised. Jake started fighting dirty. When Vex expected him to block high, Jake attacked low. When Vex thought Jake would retreat, Jake stepped forward and struck quickly. crowd began to murmur. Some of them had never seen a human fight before. They were surprised by Jake's unusual tactics. Jake spun his staff in a move he remembered from military training. The weighted end caught Vex in the shoulder, making him stumble. For the first time, the alien warrior looked uncertain. Impossible. Vex said, "You should be weak from the bonding." "The bonding made me stronger," Jake replied. He could feel Zara's love and determination flowing through their connection. It gave him energy he didn't know he had. Vex attacked again, but now Jake was ready. He used the alien's own strength against him. When Vex swung hard, Jake redirected the attack and let Vex's momentum carry him off balance. The crowd was cheering now, but not just for Vex. Some aliens were rooting for Jake. They had never seen anything like this before. Jake's military training came back to him. Stay calm. Watch your enemy. Find their weakness. Use your advantages. His advantage was that he was unpredictable. Vex had trained to fight other Korans. He didn't know how to fight a human who thought differently. Jake feinted left and attacked right. His staff caught Vex in the ribs. The alien warrior gasped and doubled over. "You killed your own brother," Jake said quietly, only loud enough for Vex to hear. "I saw it in Zara's memories. You sabotaged the mining equipment." Vex's eyes went wide. "That's impossible." "She doesn't remember." "She does now," Jake interrupted. "The bonding helped her see the truth. You murdered family. For money." Vex's face filled with rage. "Even if that were true, no one would believe a human." "They don't have to believe me," Jake said. "They just have to see you lose." Vex attacked wildly, swinging his staff with desperate fury. But anger made him careless. Jake stayed calm and patient, waiting for his chance. It came when Vex overextended himself on a powerful swing. Jake stepped inside his guard and struck upward with both ends of his staff. One end hit Vex's wrist, making him drop his weapon. The other end caught him under the chin. Vex fell backward and hit the arena floor hard. He tried to get up, but Jake placed the end of his staff against Vex's throat. "Yield," Jake said. Vex looked up at him with hatred and fear. Around the arena, the crowd was silent, waiting. "I yield," Vex said. Finally, the crowd exploded with cheers. Jake stepped back, breathing hard. He could hardly believe he had won. Judge Cross entered the arena. "The combat is concluded. Jake Miller is the victor." The marriage between Jake Miller and Zara Velfani is legally recognized under galactic law. Elder Korvik looked shocked but nodded. "It is done. The human has proven himself worthy." Jake looked up at the stands where Zara sat with her children. She was crying with relief and joy. Kira and Ren were jumping up and down with excitement. Through their mental connection, Jake felt Zara's overwhelming gratitude and something else. Something that surprised him. She was beginning to love him, not just as a rescuer, but as a person, and Jake realized he was beginning to love her too. Vex was arrested by station security. Judge Cross announced that there would be an investigation into the mining accident. That killed Zara's husband. As Jake left the arena, Roy clapped him on the back. "Not bad for a cargo pilot," his partner said with a grin. Jake smiled. "Not bad for a fake marriage." But as Zara ran down from the stands and hugged him tightly, Jake realized it didn't feel fake anymore. It felt like the beginning of something. Real and wonderful. The hardest part was over. Now they could start building a life together. Jake did not sleep well that night. His dreams were strange and full of colors he had never seen before. Sometimes he heard voices speaking in a language he did not know. When he woke up, his head hurt and his hands were shaking. Dr. Sam Martinez met them at the medical center early in the morning. He was a small man with worried eyes and gray hair. He had been the station's doctor for 15 years. "Jake," Dr. Martinez said, "I've been reading about Coron bonding all night. I have to tell you, this is very dangerous. Their brain waves are completely different from ours." "But it might work?" Jake asked. "Maybe," the doctor said. "Humans are adaptable. Sometimes we surprise everyone. But if something goes wrong, you could end up in a coma. Or worse." Zara sat nearby with her children. She looked tired and worried. "Doctor, what exactly will happen to Jake during the bonding?" Dr. Martinez showed them a computer screen with brain scans. "Normal human brains work like this," he said, pointing to wavy lines. "Coron brains work like this." The lines were different, more complex. During bonding, two Coron minds connect and synchronize. They share thoughts, feelings, and life energy. For humans, this could cause brain damage. Kira tugged on Jake's shirt. "Will it hurt you?" she asked in her small voice. Jake knelt down to her level. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I'm going to try my best to be okay." The little girl hugged him. "I don't want you to get hurt because of us." "Hey," Jake said softly. "Sometimes grown-ups have to do scary things to protect the people they love. That's what I'm doing." Dr. Martinez connected wires to Jake's head to monitor his brain. "If I see anything dangerous, I'm stopping the process immediately." A new person entered the medical room. She was a human woman with long red hair and green eyes. She wore a scientist's coat. "I'm Dr. Nova Blackwood," she said. "I study how different alien species interact. I want to help with this bonding." "How?" Jake asked. "I've been studying Coron neural patterns for years. I think I might know why the bonding could work with the human brain." She showed them more brain scans. "Humans have something most aliens don't. We have very strong emotional centers in our brains. Corons bond through emotion and empathy. Humans might actually be better at this than other species." Elder Korvik arrived with two other Coron council members. He still looked unhappy about the whole situation. "Are you ready to begin?" he asked Jake. "As ready as I can be," Jake replied. "Wait," said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to look. Vex Korathan stood there with 4 of his clan warriors. His face was full of anger. "I formally challenge this marriage," Vex announced. "Under Coron law, I have the right to fight for my family's property and children." Elder Korvik nodded slowly. "He speaks correctly. Vex, as the closest male relative, you can challenge the marriage through ritual combat." "No," Zara said, standing up quickly. "Jake doesn't know how to fight like a Coron warrior. It wouldn't be fair." Vex smiled coldly. "Life is not fair, sister-in-law. If this human wants to marry into our family, he must prove he is strong enough to protect what is ours." Jake stood up. The wires were still attached to his head. "When do we fight?" "After the bonding," Vex said. "If you survive it." "Traditional. Weapons, no technology. Fight until one of us cannot continue." Dr. Martinez looked worried. "Jake, you'll be weak after the bonding process. Fighting right after could kill you." "I don't have a choice," Jake said. "How long do I have to recover?" 1 hour, Vex replied. "That is traditional," Jake nodded. "Fine, let's get the bonding started." Zara came over to him. "Jake, you don't have to do this. Maybe we can find another way." "There is no other way," Jake said. "We have less than 36 hours left. This is our only chance." Dr. Blackwood set up her equipment. "Jake, I need you to lie down here. Zara, you lie on the bed next to him. The bonding works better when you're close." Jake lay down on the medical bed. Zara lay on the bed beside him. Her hand found his and held it tightly. Her skin was cool and soft. "Are you scared?" she whispered. "Terrified," Jake whispered back. "You?" "Yes." but also grateful. No one has ever risked so much for my children. Elder Korvik began speaking in the Korine language. His voice was deep and rhythmic. Other Korans in the room joined in, creating a strange singing sound. Now, Dr. Blackwood said, I need you both to relax and think about each other. Zara, try to open your mind to Jake. Jake, try to feel what Zara is feeling. At first, nothing happened. Jake just lay there, listening to the alien singing. Then, slowly, he began to feel strange. The room seemed to get brighter. Colors became more vivid. I'm getting unusual readings, Dr. Martinez said. Jake's brain activity is increasing rapidly. Jake felt something touch his mind. It was gentle at first, like a whisper. Then it became stronger. Suddenly, he could feel Zara's thoughts mixing with his own. He saw images from her memory, her wedding day, the birth of her children, the day her husband died in the mining accident. He felt her grief, her fear, her desperate love for Kira and Ren. But there was something else in her memories. Something dark and terrible. Jake saw Vex talking to other clan members before her husband's accident. He heard them planning something. The mining accident was not an accident at all. Vex had arranged for his own brother to die so he could claim the family property. Zara, Jake said out loud, your husband was murdered. Everyone in the room went quiet. The Korn singing stopped. What did you say? Elder Korvik asked. Jake's eyes were still closed, but he could see Zara's memories clearly now. Vex killed his own brother. The mining equipment was sabotaged. I can see it in Zara's memories. Vex stepped forward angrily. That's impossible. Humans cannot access Koran memories. Dr. Blackwood was staring at her instruments. Actually, they seemed to have formed a complete neural link. This shouldn't be possible, but it's happening. Jake sat up slowly. The room spun around him, but he felt different, stronger somehow. He could sense Zara's presence in his mind, and she could sense his. The bonding worked, Dr. Martinez said in amazement. Jake's brain adapted to the Koran neural patterns. I've never seen anything like it. Zara sat up too. Tears ran down her blue cheeks. Jake, I remember now. I had blocked those memories because they were too painful. But you helped me see them. Clearly, Elder Korvik looked shocked. If what you say is true, then Vex has committed the worst crime in our culture. Killing family for property. It's not true, Vex shouted. This human is lying. The bonding cannot lie, said one of the other council members. If he saw it in her memories, then it happened. Vex's face became dark with rage. Even if it were true, it changes nothing. I still challenge this marriage. I will kill this human in combat, and then there will be no witnesses to any so-called memories. Jake stood up carefully. He still felt dizzy, but the connection with Zara made him feel stronger. He could sense her thoughts encouraging him. 1 hour, Jake said. I'll be ready. Vex and his warriors left the medical center. Elder Korvik stayed behind, looking troubled. Jake Miller, the elder said, if what you saw is true, then I owe you an apology. You may have uncovered a great crime. Will it help Zara keep her children? Jake asked. If you can defeat Vex in combat, yes. The truth will come out, and justice will be served, Jake nodded. 1 hour to prepare for a fight that would determine the fate of his new family. He looked at Kira and Ren, who were watching him with hope in their silver eyes. Through his mental connection with Zara, he felt her love and gratitude flowing into his mind. It gave him strength he didn't know he had. I won't let them down, he said quietly. The hardest part was still ahead. The Koran Council office was on level 5 of Nexus Station. Jake had never been there before. The walls were covered in smooth blue stone that seemed to glow softly. Strange symbols were carved into the stone. The air smelled like flowers Jake had never seen before. Zara walked ahead of him, holding both children's hands. She looked nervous. Jake felt nervous too. Roy stayed close behind them, ready to help if needed. An old Koran man sat behind a large desk. His skin was darker blue than Zara's, and his white hair was braided with silver threads. His silver eyes were cold when he looked at them. "Elder Thane Corvick," Zara said, bowing her head. "I come to file marriage papers." The old man's eyes moved. From Zara to Jake, his face showed disgust. "You wish to marry this ... human?" "Yes, Elder," Zara said quietly. "The law allows it." Elder Corvick stood up slowly. He was tall and thin. "The law may allow it, but that does not make it right. You? Shame your people, Zara Velthani. Your husband has been dead only 3 days, and already you run to an alien." Jake felt angry. "She's trying to protect her children." The elder looked at Jake like he was looking at something dirty. "Human, you do not understand our ways. Marriage is not just papers and ceremonies. It is the joining of souls. It is sharing life force. No human has ever done this. It will probably kill you." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Before the elder could answer, another voice spoke from the doorway. "He means Koran marriage involves telepathic bonding." Everyone turned to look. A human woman stood in the doorway. She was about 40 years old, with short black hair and smart eyes. She wore the uniform of a diplomatic officer. "I am Lisa Chun," the woman said. "I work as a cultural liaison between humans and other species. I heard about what was happening here." Elder Corvick looked annoyed. "This is Koran business." "Actually, it's not," Lisa said calmly. "When a human citizen is involved, it becomes my business too." She looked at Jake. "Mr. Miller, do you understand what Koran marriage really means?" Jake shook his head. "Not really." Lisa walked over to them. "Koran people can share thoughts and feelings through their minds. When they marry, they create a permanent mental connection. They share their life, energy. What one feels, the other feels. What hurts one hurts the other." Jake felt his mouth go dry. "And humans can't do that?" "We don't know," Lisa said. "It's never been tried. The process might damage your brain. It might even kill you." Zara looked shocked. "I did not know this." "Would hurt you. Maybe we should find another way." Jake looked down at Kira and Ren. They were listening to everything, their silver eyes wide with fear. They had already lost their father. Now they might lose their mother too. "How long do we have to decide?" Jake asked. 46 hours, Elder Corvick said. He seemed happy that Jake was scared. "If you want to proceed, you must begin the preparation tonight. The bonding ritual takes time." Just then, another man entered the office. He was also Koran, but younger than the elder. His face was hard and angry. 3 other Koran men followed. "Him, Vex Corathan," Zara whispered. She pulled her children closer to her. Vex Corathan was tall and strong. His dark blue skin had silver markings that looked like scars. His eyes were like ice when he looked at Zara. "So it is true," Vex said. His voice was deep and dangerous. "My brother's widow wants to marry an alien." "This is disgusting." "Vex, please," Zara said. "I am trying to follow the law." "You are trying to steal what belongs to my family," Vex growled. "My brother's children should be raised by Korans, not by some human stranger. His property should stay in our clan." Jake stepped forward. He was smaller than Vex, but he was not afraid. "The children belong with their mother." Vex laughed coldly. "Human, you do not understand. When my brother died, everything he owned should have come to me. His widow, his children, his mining rights. Everything. This fake marriage will not change that." "It's not fake," Jake said. "And it's not about property. It's about keeping a family together. You think you can handle Koran bonding? Vex asked. You think your weak human mind can survive? Joining with one of us? Many Korans die during the bonding. What chance does an alien have? Elder Korvik nodded. Vex speaks truth. This marriage will likely kill the human. Benzara will be a widow again, and the children will still come to the clan. Lisa Chun stepped between them. That's enough. Mr. Miller has the right to make his own choice. If he wants to risk the bonding, that's his decision. Vex pointed at Jake. If you somehow survive the bonding, human, I will challenge you to ritual combat. Koran law says I can fight for my clan's rights. I will crush you like an insect. We'll see about that, Jake said quietly. Vex and his men left the office. The room felt less dangerous without them, but Jake's heart was still beating fast. Mr. Miller, Lisa said, you need to think about this carefully. The bonding process has never been tried on a human. We don't know what will happen to you. Jake looked at Zara. Her silver eyes were full of hope and fear. What happens if the bonding fails? If you die during the process, Elder Korvik said. With no emotion, Zara remains unmarried. The children go to Vex's clan. And if I survive but the bonding doesn't work, then you are not truly married under Koran law, the elder replied. Same result. Jake was quiet for a long time. Everyone watched him, waiting. Finally, he looked down at the two children. Kira, he said softly, do you want to live with your Uncle Vex? The little girl shook her head quickly. No, he scares me. He was mean to Mama, even when Papa was alive. Jake nodded. He looked at Roy. What do you think, partner? Roy smiled sadly. I think you've already made up your mind. You always try to help people, even when it's dangerous for you. I have to try, Jake said. He looked at Zara. If I die during this bonding thing, promise me you'll find another way to protect the children. Zara's eyes filled with tears. Jake Miller, you are the kindest man I have ever met. I promise I will find a way, but I pray you will survive. My children need you. I need you too. Elder Korvik looked surprised. You really mean to do this? Yes, Jake said. File the papers. We'll start the preparation tonight. The elder shook his head, but began writing on official documents. Very well, but do not blame me when this kills you. Lisa Chun put her hand on Jake's shoulder. I'll stay and help with the process. We'll monitor your vital signs during the bonding. If it looks too dangerous, we'll stop it. Thank you, Jake said as they left the council office. Roy walked beside Jake. You know this is crazy, right? Yeah, Jake said. But look at them, Roy. Look at those kids. They're so scared. If I don't help them, who will? Roy nodded. You're a good man, Jake Miller. I just hope you're also a lucky one. Behind them, Zara carried little Ren, while Kira walked beside her. The family that Jake was trying to save followed him through the station corridors. Jake tried not to think about the fact that in 2 days he might be dead. But when Kira ran up and took his hand again, Jake knew he was making the right choice. Some things were worth risking everything for. These children were worth it. The real test would begin tonight. Jake Miller wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished unloading the last cargo container from his ship. The New Dawn sat quietly in docking bay 12 of Nexus Station. It was not the biggest ship, but it was his. He had worked hard for 10 years to buy it. The station was busy as always. Aliens from dozens of different worlds walked through the metal corridors. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Jake still stared at them after 5 years of trading in space. The air smelled like fuel and food from many different planets. Jake closed the cargo hold and started walking toward the main corridor. He needed to find Captain Roy Banks, his business partner. Roy would have new jobs for them. Jake hoped they were good-paying jobs. The ship needed repairs, and repairs cost money. He had only taken a few steps when someone grabbed his arm. Jake turned around quickly. A woman stood behind him, but she was not human. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were large and silver. She had long white hair that moved like it was floating in water. She was one of the Corin people. The woman looked scared. Her silver eyes were wide, and her hands shook. Too small. Children hid behind her legs. They had the same blue skin and silver eyes. The older child looked maybe 8 years old. The younger one was very small, probably 5. "Please," the woman said. Her voice was soft but desperate. "You are human, yes? I need your help." Jake looked around. Other aliens in the corridor were staring at them. Some whispered to each other and pointed. This felt wrong somehow. "What kind of help?" Jake asked. He tried to keep his voice calm. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "My name is Zara Velthani. These are my children, Kira and Ren. My husband died 3 days ago. There is a law on my world, a very old law. If I do not marry again in 3 days, they will take my children from me. They will take everything." Jake felt his stomach drop. 3 days? That's not much time. "It gets worse," Zara said. She looked around nervously. "No one from my people will marry me. My husband's family hates me. They say I brought bad luck. They want my children and my husband's property. If I cannot find a husband, the law says they can take everything." The little girl, Kira, peeked out from behind her mother. She looked at Jake with curious eyes. The boy, Ren, stayed hidden. "Why are you asking me?" Jake said. "I'm not one of your people." Zara took a deep breath. "Galactic law says marriage between different species is legal if both agree. I have checked. A human can marry a Corin. It has never been done before, but it is not against the law." Jake stepped back. This was crazy. He had never even thought about marriage with a human woman, let alone an alien. "I know this sounds strange," Zara continued, "but I have no choice. I will do anything to keep my children safe. I will work for you. I will cook for you. I will warm your bed. Please, I am begging you." Jake's face turned red. He looked away quickly. He was not sure what "warm your bed" meant in her culture, but it sounded very personal. I don't know," Jake said. "This is very sudden." Zara fell to her knees in front of him. The children started crying softly. Other aliens in the corridor stopped to watch. Jake felt embarrassed and confused. "Please," Zara whispered, "look at my children. They have already lost their father. If you do not help me, they will lose their mother too. They will be raised by people who hate them. They will have nothing." Jake looked down at the 2 small faces. Kira was trying to be brave, but tears ran down her blue cheeks. Little Ren was shaking with fear. Jake thought about his own childhood. His parents had died when he was young. He knew what it felt like, to be alone and scared. "Stand up," Jake said quietly. "People are staring." Zara got to her feet. Hope flickered in her silver eyes. "How much time do we have exactly?" Jake asked. 2 days and 18 hours, Zara said. "The marriage must happen before the 3rd sunset on my world. That time matches with the station's clock." Jake ran his hand through his hair. This was the rule. Craziest thing anyone had ever asked him to do. But when he looked at the children, he felt something break inside his chest. "I need to talk to my partner," Jake said. "Wait here." He walked away quickly. Behind him, he heard Zara call out, "Thank you for listening." Jake found Roy Banks in the station's main bar. Roy was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been like a father to Jake since they became partners. "Roy," Jake said, sitting down hard in the chair across from him. "I need advice." Roy looked up from his drink. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "What happened?" Jake told Roy everything. About Zara, about the law, about the children. Roy listened without saying a word. When Jake finished, Roy was quiet for a long time. "Son," Roy finally said, "that's either the kindest thing you've ever thought about doing, or the stupidest." "Which do you think it is?" Jake asked. Roy smiled sadly. "Probably both. But those kids need help, and you've always had a good heart." He paused. "You know this won't be easy, right? Marriage to an alien? The paperwork alone will be a nightmare." Jake nodded. "I know. But what else can I do? Let those children suffer? No," Roy said. "You can't do that. It's not who you are." He finished his drink. "Come on, let's go find this woman and see what we can do." They walked back to Docking Bay 12. Zara was still there with her children. She looked up hopefully when she saw Jake returning. "I'll help you," Jake said simply. Zara's face broke into the first smile Jake had seen from her. "Really? You will marry me?" "I'll try," Jake said. "But I don't know anything about your laws or customs. We'll have to figure this out as we go." Zara grabbed Jake's hands. Her skin was cool and smooth. "Thank you," she whispered. "You are saving my children's lives." Jake looked down at Kira and Ren. They were still scared, but they seemed less frightened now. "What do we do first?" Jake asked. "We must go to the Koran Council," Zara said. "They have an office on this station. We must file papers to announce our intention to marry. Then we have 48 hours to complete the ceremony." Jake nodded, even though he had no idea what he was getting into. All he knew was that 2 small children needed help, and he was the only one who could give it. As they walked toward the council offices, Jake wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his life. But when little Kira slipped her small blue hand into his, he decided that some mistakes were worth making.